All right, here we go. The Expert Show coming at you on a Monday night. The Birdman here with my compadre, Mr. Joey, the Reverend, Double McCheese. How you doing tonight, Joey?
Doing good, man.
All right, man. Yeah, I mean, another week of wildness in the simulation. So what we got this evening for you? We've got a little bit of some news. We got possibly World War III on the horizon. You know,
It's looking like it.
What's surprising now? Then we're gonna get into a little what's going on in the UK. Some other madness, mayhem there, and trying to get understanding like what's going on with Kamala. Like what's it all about, man? We're trying to understand her. She's coming before she was like the worst VP ever, and now she's, you know, the hottest shit since sliced bread, as my boomer dad might say.
Yeah, what changed?
Yeah, I mean, what happened? Like, what's all the hype about?
Yeah, there's a lot of hype.
You know, so Tim Dillon will kind of fill us in about that, about what's in the K-Hive. It's called the K-Hive.
K-Hive.
Yeah,
That's her group.
Yeah, that's the gang.
Like, okay.
Yeah, the K-Hive.
So that's like if you were like down with the honeycomb. It's like the honeycomb hideout kind of thing.
It's kind of like down with the Wu-Tang clan.
Oh, it's the Wu-Tang.
Yeah, I think it's the new Wu-Tang clan.
Who's she, old dirty bastard? No, I'm just kidding.
That was Willie.
That was bad. Sorry. My fault.
Yeah, she's not the
She's more of
ODB.
I think she's more of a RZA.
Yeah, Jizza.
Yeah, she's definitely a Jizza.
There was definitely some Jizza happening.
Yeah.
But we're going to kind of investigate all that and kind of get Tulsi's take on who's really running things, because it hasn't been Biden for a long time, because found out that he's been checked out for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And was it ever Kamala? Will it ever be Kamala? Who's really behind the Wizard of Oz?
Who's behind the curtain?
Yeah.
Who's pulling the levers?
Yeah, who's pulling the levers?
Yeah.
We'll try to explore that. So let's get into it, man.
Let's do it. All right. Well, we got some breaking news, though, coming up here today.
Yeah, we'll start off with the breaking news, because, I mean, all that's important stuff, but World War III, that's really important.
That seems to be
So
top tier stuff, you know.
Here's what's happening, I guess, you know.
Not back burner.
Iran's coming after Israel, and attacks are imminent, and I guess some things popped off a few hours ago. Here's the latest we have.
We have some breaking news in the Middle East. The Pentagon is confirming to News Nation that a rocket attack hit outside the Al-Assad air base in western Iraq, injuring several American personnel who were stationed there. It's unclear at this moment who launched the attack, but it does look to be launched by Iranian proxies. President Biden has been briefed. We are monitoring the developments. This news, of course, comes as Israel is on high alert, bracing for a large-scale attack from Iran and or its proxies, if not properly calibrated, of course. This could all throw the United States and the wider region into a bloody conflict. Just hours ago, Israel announced that it conducted a strike in southern Lebanon, killing another high-ranking Hezbollah commander. This comes hours after the Lebanese militant group launched its own drone attack on northern Israel that injured 2 Israeli troops. Israel says the death of that Hezbollah terrorist will now, quote, severely disrupt the group's ability to target them. The volley of strikes today as President Biden held a high-stakes meeting with his national security team at the White House Situation Room. The White House is urging de-escalation as the Pentagon is increasing its military presence in the region, moving the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group to the Middle East. The movements come as Iran has vowed, quote, severe punishment against Israel after last week's assassination of a Hamas leader inside Tehran. The exiled leader was reportedly blown up by a bomb that was planted under his bed in an Iranian Revolutionary Guard guest house. Israel has not officially claimed responsibility, but the Hamas chief's death came just hours after Israel did claim responsibility for a strike in Beirut that killed a top Hezbollah commander. The message from the State Department today to all parties involved: take a step back. Escalation is in no one's interest.
We're at a critical moment for the region.
One thing I didn't like about these wars that you didn't see in most previous wars, well, most of our, World War I and World War II, and then maybe everything in between that, all the little conflicts, but you probably did see a little bit more back in, like, Roman times, is that the the leaders are the ones getting killed now. Like, they're like skipping over the whole army, and they're like, we're just going to send a drone up your ass.
Yeah, because we can pinpoint them now. There's nowhere for them to, we can find
it's
out
kind of nice. It's like you want to stay behind the lines, and even in Beirut, you're a Hamas, you're a Hezbollah guy or a Hamas, and you're in Beirut. I don't know what the hell you're doing over there, brother. You're hiding.
Wasn't it kind of against, I think, the gentlemanly war to like shoot at officers?
It was, I think I think that's why they set up on their. Their horses. I think we kind of broke that in the Revolutionary War. We were good with
right when we started sniping them from behind trees and using the Native American tactics.
I saw a World War II vet talking about fighting the Japanese and why they always shot the Japanese military or their leaders, like probably not the general, but like the captain or major, whoever the equivalent in there was.
Because they were standing out there with a flag.
No, it was because they said like unlike he was in the West. The Western Theater, where they were on, them islands all over there, I guess, like Guam and Philippines, or where else were they fighting, But they would say that, like, he said that Americans would have, like, literally a private running the company because everybody else died ahead of them. But he said the Japanese couldn't, like, they would fall apart as soon as their leader was gone. Because probably they didn't want to be there, and their leader was the one holding the gun saying, you need to be here, dude. As soon as he was dead, they were like, hey, maybe we...
I don't know. I thought they always fought to the death. Almost.
But that's because their leader was holding a gun against their head. I'm thinking that they were probably like, you know what, guys? Let's get democratic. How about we don't stab ourselves?
In Iwo Jima, I think there was only a handful, like 10 Japanese that survived and 5,000.
That's because they didn't get their leader first.
And they were jumping off the side of the cliff wall because they were told by their leaders that the Americans would do all these, atrocities.
And if they don't, we will. They were like, well, if they don't cut
they actually did. Yeah. Like the Japanese were the most ruthless.
Well, Russians during World War II, man, they would actually because they didn't have enough guns, so they pretty much just sent everybody in. The people in front had guns, and the people in the very back had guns. So if you try to turn around and run,
yeah, you're getting shot.
Yeah, dude, crazy, right? That's not really like fighting for your country.
Deserters must die.
It's important that all parties take steps over the coming days to refrain from escalation and calm tensions. Escalation is in no one's interest. It's not in the interest of any one country. It's not in the interest of the region. And it's certainly not in the interest of the millions of civilians who just want to live their lives free from violence.
He looks like it. Yeah. He's like, dude, for real.
All right, let's discuss all this now with our panel. Joining me is retired U.S. Army Major Mike Lyons, and David Tarfori is a former State Department official who also served as an Obama campaign foreign policy advisor. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. David, I'd like to start with you. There are reports today that Anthony Blinken, is warning G7 allies that an attack could come in the next 24 to 48 hours. That's today or tomorrow from either Hezbollah or Iran or both. It is now nightfall there when these attacks have typically happened.
That's right. It does seem like an attack is imminent. We know that Iran intends to retaliate. The supreme commander, supreme leader in Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, has basically ordered retaliation. And when he makes an announcement like that, it's an edict. It's almost like an executive order here. It means Iran will likely do something. We know they're embarrassed by the killing of Hania. You laid out some of the details of how he was killed. He was a guest of Iran. And so that's really embarrassing in the Middle East if you can't protect your guest. There are a number of ways that they might attack. It could be airstrikes, as Blinken seems to be warning. They weren't successful in April when they did airstrikes in response to the attack on IRGC officials in Damascus, Syria.
Do you think we're going to see something different in the next 24 to 48 hours?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a signaling. I think it will be more of a phased attack. They were embarrassed by that first launch that they made, but Israel's been fortunate that they haven't had creativity on the side of their enemies, even going back to
What do you mean by that?
Well, they haven't synchronized their fires. If you're going to have the capability to attack from 4 different avenues of approach, the Iranians can control attacks that come from the north, from Lebanon through Hezbollah. They can come from the south, from the Houthis. They can fire long-range rockets.
So you're expecting a bigger, more coordinated response from Iran this time?
That would be the only way to get them out of that
the wailing wall
they were in from the original attack they made. It was so embarrassing that it was they threw the kids to sink basically. The Israeli Defense Forces with the United States and everybody, these other NATO countries were able to defend against it. Now,
I've been to a lot of churches around here. They don't have walls around them that size.
Yeah.
You know, why would you need a 30-foot wall around unless your whole idea was,
they've been attacked.
Yeah, we might end up back here, fighting some people.
Always a war zone. So, what's going on in the UK over there, Joe?
Okay, from what I know, you heard about, and I think the name of the town, Southport. I haven't done that much research, so bear with me. I think it's Southport or something very similar to that, where these little girls were murdered by a migrant, like stabbed to death, like brutally, like really bad, dude. And this isn't the first time. I don't know if you're paying attention. The number of these, I guess asylum seekers, as they like to call them, the number of crimes they've committed recently, and violent crimes, murders. They're literally, it's just like, there's terror. From what I understand, there's people that like work every day and they're afraid for their kids and their wives to go out in a town that they've lived in. Their parents have lived there their whole life. They're being harassed by street gangs. There's, I guess they call it grooming gangs, where like,
gross.
What they do is kind of like grab young girls that are like maybe not from the best families kind of around town. They give them drugs. Next thing you know, they're in prostitution and they own them. So that's like.
So this is a riot in retaliation from the grooming gangs?
Basically, this last murder was like the final straw, and the people. This is not. They're blaming a guy named Tommy Robinson, who used to run this old organization. I guess it hasn't been around for 10 years, and he looks like he's really right wing, and
right.
But he's basically just telling the people what's going on, and the government doesn't want the people to know what's going on. So I think more than ever, this is actually like.
Basically, the government's not doing anything about this shit.
Well, the English people
are kind of stepping up and saying we're going to take.
But it's not just happening in Southport or whatever. It's in like 5 cities in England. It's happening in Ireland to a huge extent. They're like burning down and I don't advocate none of this stuff. I mean, I understand people being angry and you got to fight back, but you can't just drag every Muslim out of a car and beat his ass.
Sure.
I mean, but what are you left with? This is the thing, man. When you have gangs of people that aren't afraid of the government. And they're not afraid of the police because they're these protected gang. That's one of their big things. They're calling Keir Starmer 2-tier Keir because he has like this. If the Muslim gang goes out and do something, nobody gets prosecuted. But now that these right wing, as they call them, gangs have started to stand up and riot in these different places, he's just vowed like yesterday to lock them all up, throw them in jail, and find them guilty. Like the dude wasn't even like having any kind of like. He was basically saying if you took place in this. Or you're one of those people online who were touting this shit or instigating this, we're going to find you, we're going to prosecute you, we're going to find you guilty, and we're going to lock you up. He just said that to the English people, and they're trying to portray them all as right wing, but it seems to me that these are just the regular English people that are like, dude, this is our country. What are you doing to us?
Right. Okay. Well, let's see what Clayton has to say about it.
Clayton, our guy.
Well, if you want to know what's about to happen to the United States, look no further than the UK. For those living outside the UK, you might not have heard it's a country that's descending into chaos. Just to bring you up to speed, 4 days ago, a 17-year-old allegedly walked into a children's Taylor Swift event and stabbed a bunch of kids. But this has been happening all over the UK, stabbing events, and of course, massive protests, riots. Now the courts are being kept open for 24 hours to make sure that anybody's participating in these protests will be arrested and round up. And even if you're not at the protests,
right,
and you're online posting, guess what? You get a knock at the door. You could have the police coming to your door. You could also be arrested. So what is happening in the UK right now? What is happening with illegal immigration? And how are the people who live there, who've spent their lives there, fighting back against all of this? We wanted to ask Jim Ferguson.
Right, and you're not even allowed to post about it like that. That in and of itself is a crime.
Yeah, they've already made all this illegal. So, like, they have not the freedom of speech like we do. You can be arrested.
Oh, they don't have a Bill of Rights.
Yeah, you can be arrested for saying anything the government don't like, really, dude. And this is going to be a really interesting time.
Free speech protection.
I mean, there's people saying they don't know that England comes back from this without a civil war. Like, I don't know what's going to happen over there, dude, because this is like 5 or 6 days now. And maybe it'll tamp down, but I don't think the response from the police
this is just the first.
Tamper.
This is just the first scratch at the surface of they know a problem is there, right? And it's not going away. And they can't keep letting, there's a cultural divide now. It's a smaller place, with a very historic monoculture, civilization there. And it's one thing to assimilate people, but they can't absorb the people like we can, right?
Well, they don't want to be, and they don't want to be absorbed.
Yeah,
these are new communities.
But they're the size of freaking Rhode Island, bro. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
You know, it's a whole nother ballgame trying to absorb that many people, like versus the U.S.
But they're also not telling these asylum seekers that they need to integrate. They're telling them that their culture is great, even though they're running from it.
We don't either.
No, I know, but we used to. We used to give you tests and be like, you got to know something about America.
I'm just saying that they're further along than we are, right?
Oh,
like,
100%.
So there's going to be some kind of, finally a backlash. It's not going to go away, so...
He is the founder of Freedom Train International, former parliamentary candidate and journalist. Jim has his hands on the pulse of all of this. Jim, welcome to the show. Great to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Clayton. Nice to be on with you again.
Sick necklace.
So can you kind of just bring up our audience to speed? I mean, I'm sure those living in the UK are very familiar with what's been happening. However, I'm sure the media spin on all of that. It's hard to get out the truth. You've been a great person to be able to get out the truth on what's happening in the UK right now. Can you walk our audience through sort of the state of affairs right now?
Well, yeah, absolutely. What's happening in the UK is quite unprecedented. We are witnessing something that we haven't seen probably in decades. And what's really prompted this is there's been a recent change of government. Sir Keir Starmer has taken over as Prime Minister. But even although he's newly in post, what happened with the Conservative Party and Conservative government, as far as mass illegal immigration was concerned, has been causing deep anger within the Brits and the British population. So what's really happened here is this stabbing that happened in Southport of the 3 little girls brutally murdered at the dance studio has caused outrage and anger. And of course, this has been happening for a long period of time. We are seeing unprecedented numbers of illegal migrants, many of them with violent histories, violent backgrounds, flooding into the country in millions. I mean, there is unprecedented numbers. Hotels are being completely filled with these people, and they're all young men aged between 19 and 30. So there is no women, there is no asylum seekers. This is not something that is happening by accident. In fact, there is a reason to this, and it's not just happening in the UK. It's happening in Ireland in the south as well. It's happening at the US southern border. It's happening in France, Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands. Even Australia and New Zealand are getting huge numbers of migrants coming in. Now, there's nothing wrong with normal migration. We all understand that. But illegal migration that's coming in is unprecedented. Not only is it putting pressure on social services, housing, healthcare, education, but it's causing a massive explosion in lawlessness. But what has really triggered the British population is...
Dude, it is crazy, though. I mean, like all the places that I've ever traveled, I had to have a passport. I had to show, get a visa. I had to be like, I'm here for leisure, you know, I'm a tourist. I had to show them that I have a place to stay, that I have a hotel that I'm going to, and when I'm leaving. You know what I mean? And I got held in the Canadian airport in Vancouver because they thought I had cocaine residue on my cell phone. They said they wiped it with some magical cloth that turned a weird blue that I guess it was that. And I was like, do you Canadians snort coke off your phones? Like, I never even heard of this. Like, I don't know. What would it be on my phone? I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, they sweated me and my friend down for a good 2 hours. You know, for no reason. We had nothing on us.
And you were bringing money to their economy.
We were going to we had reservations at the Four Seasons in Vancouver.
Dang.
Freaking $500 a night hotel. You know, we were going to ball out, just have a blast in Vancouver for 3 days.
A ball out? Maybe there was cocaine on your phone.
Vancouver had more drugs than anywhere I was at that time.
Yeah, it's like California of
that was
Canada,
that was like the Amsterdam of the North America, man, at the time. And before any legalization here, and there was in dispensaries. So yeah, I mean, why would I be smuggling in anything to Vancouver? Like, I'm coming here to get it.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, we're good.
So you know, it's just insane to me that they would sweat me down like that, and that there's people that can just walk over the border and you're all good.
My question though, and this is like a little bit more out there, but okay, so are these actual asylum seekers, or is this a planned invasion by using people's goodwill to want to help? Or is it a planned invasion where our leaders are pretending that we have goodwill to get these people in here? I haven't figured out what...
There has to be some why would you want to do that to your country? Like,
I mean, the English people
never before did governments want to do it.
No.
Like, there was always controlled immigration. There was always, it was strictly controlled. I mean, you couldn't go to you couldn't go to any other country
not
without having.
I mean, early on there was like they were like, yeah, anybody come over, give us your tired, your week, whatever. We need to start a country.
Right before we had social programs.
Yeah, absolutely. None of them got anything.
Social Security or any of that stuff.
There wasn't even tax. There was no federal tax when most of that was going down. So even if the government was helping these people out, the people of America weren't paying for it.
No, nobody. There was no social.
But now,
totally different situation.
I just can't tell if it's actual goodwill being used by this invasion, or if our leaders want this invasion, so it's a pretending of goodwill and like a wink, wink, nod, nod. Come over here.
There has to be something behind it, because why would any country?
And why would you?
We know it's suicide. You know, I mean, these people aren't stupid.
Yeah, I mean, if they're trying to replace like the current population of these countries, why? I mean, like England, there's no more pacifists. They fell in lockstep with everything that went down for the most part during COVID. Why would you want to bring in a group of people that are generally angry? They come from a very violent place, so they've grown up with a lot of trauma and violence. Why would that be your answer? So to me, I can't figure it out. Here's what I've come up with, Bill. They want to bring in the Muslims, the angry Muslims who grew up in very terrible conditions with murders going on around them, to murder all of the English people, and then they'll just arrest all the Muslims. I don't think they want the Muslims. I think they just need a bunch of people to kill them without the government doing it. So, like, if they can have these massive riots, and they can jail, so anybody who comes out against them, because they're already, that's one of the things this guy's...
I don't know, man. I mean, I really think
it's out there. I know.
It's something like that, but I mean, it's definitely, they're trying to destroy, I think, the middle class, the entrenched middle class of every first world country.
Yeah, and get rid of people.
It seems to be like, so it's like it's an asset and a property transfer. You know what I mean? Back to them. So when, if they tear apart the middle class, if they can't even function anymore, they're just inundated with, people that are going to vote for every social program, completely drain the public.
Right. Be
funds,
happy with what they get because they come from bad places, so they're happy. But I
mean, I think that waters down the people that would actually stand against any government that have something of their own, right?
So basically, they don't
own anything.
We have AI now, so we don't need middle management. Is that what's going on? They're literally going to get rid of all middle management because they just need the top tier.
I think it's the whole thing.
We
like
got AI.
You'll own nothing and be happy.
Right, but we still do need the epsilons to pick up trash and stuff. Like I guess they haven't figured that out robot wise, but you'll need some repairs on the machines. So basically, the middle class isn't needed anymore. It was needed to build up to this era where the
middle class is just in the way of their
now because we got AI and we got robots.
There's something behind it, man. I'm sorry, because there's no other reason why to do it. There's no good reason, and believe me, of all the other things that governments do, there's no way it's all altruistic.
That's my point. I'd love to believe it, but there's no way. There's no fucking way. I'm jaded.
Take action now is the fact that there is a two-tier policing. Clearly evident, and indeed Sir Keir Starmer is now being nicknamed two-tier Keir, because what happens when the largely Muslim populations demonstrate and protest for Palestinian with Palestinian flags, they get the green light, and even though they're often violent, the police are sort of taking a hands-off approach.
Now,
what we're seeing is
a sign
the indigenous British people, they're becoming alarmed at this. They are getting really upset about it because they think it's deeply unfair. And indeed, what we've been witnessing on the streets of London, Southport, Southend, Manchester, Bradford, Liverpool, is on a scale never before seen. And the police are coming in very, very hard on the indigenous Brits, but they are not tackling even large roaming groups of predominantly young Muslim men carrying knives, machetes, pieces of wood, and they've been witnessed attacking British people, white people, and really beating them to the ground. So this is very violent. And there are more protests that are being planned this coming Wednesday. I'm aware of 39 protests and big demonstrations that are being organised right now. And instead of diffusing the situation, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, has doubled down. And he has said that he is going to crack down even harder on people who are just even reporting the news. It's like he's using his position to launch this dystopian, almost dictatorial type measures to silence the British people. But I don't think it's going to work, if I'm being honest.
There's a lot to unpack there. I think some of what you just said is also happening in the United States, right?
I don't condone that, Bill.
Police are being told, illegal immigrants who've stolen cars, who are driving, just let them go. Just let them go. Turn a blind eye to the illegals. Go after actual Americans and label them far right. Round up individuals who might be participating in protests.
You know what, dude? That's history, and there's not a country out there that doesn't have a little bit of shit stained on them.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's ridiculous to think that we should these people could come into power. And I mean, what's there? Are they getting money for this? Maybe that's the case. Maybe they're just getting set up for the rest of their lives if they can hand the country over to the new world.
Well, Joe, let's see what Victor Davis Hanson has to say about this situation. It's a learned guy. He has kind of a breakdown right here, what's really happened with the government in the world. This is now we're only going to play a few minutes of this. It's pretty deep, and it really deserves its own video. So we're going to watch a little more intently, take notes, whatever it takes to try to get a hold of all this thing. Because this is, this is a conundrum, right? It's like this mystery wrapped in an enigma. What is really going on? Because you can feel it in your bones that it's not right. What's happened? There's but you call the conspiracy theorist if you ask too many questions or if you ask the wrong ones.
Well, then there's fake conspiracy theories out because
but we're being We're
there's
being
a ton of people who are
there's misinformation. There's all this kind of stuff. But we know that whatever we're being told isn't the whole story. That's for sure.
Definitely not.
And what the people that are supposedly that we elect that are supposedly making these decisions aren't the ones making the decisions, because we just saw that with Joe Biden.
Yeah, they're just paid for
in your face.
Yeah, they're just there to take they're the figurehead of the policy. Yeah. They're basically there
so we can all say that, right? You know what I mean? But we're still scratching the surface, right? So we get to that point. So who's behind them? How's this machine working? What's behind the curtain, man? Who's the Wizard of Oz here?
Well, I think
that's the big question.
After years of pharaohs and Caesars and kings living very short lives, the elitists finally realized that they don't want to be the face of it too. They're like, look, we need to pull some strings from back here. We'll put a crazy old doddering man in there, and he'll do it for money. So what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work doing all that. They just want to sit back and reap the fruits of their destruction.
Evil plans.
We don't know who's running the country now, whether it's the Obama third-term people or no one at all. The society that is targeted or vulnerable has no idea that it is. It keeps reassuring itself that its grandeur is still there, it's still powerful. That has eerie similarities to the United States. They have no idea about the people who are attacking them. We're getting to a point now where the United States is the keeper of deterrence worldwide is no longer there. For a variety of reasons, we don't have the economic clout with 36 trillion in debt. We're borrowing $1 trillion every 90 days. It's been a 360-degree destructive 4 years. And I don't know how. Sometimes I almost think they get in a room and they say, well, yeah, we let in 10 million people. There's the borders open. And how are you going to stop that? The remedy will be worse than the malady that we caused. And inflation is high, but you know what? You're going to have to raise taxes on the people who deserve to be taxed. It's almost the nihilism was intentional.
Yeah.
And they knew that people wouldn't like what they did, but they thought they were going to hand off a revolutionary system, a Jacobin system. And then the effort to undo it would be catastrophic. I think our problem is that we're culturally arrogant.
Just like it was catastrophic with the Jacobins in the French Revolution, ended up catastrophic, right? We had the Reign of Terror. They just murdered everybody. And what did we get after that? Napoleon.
Yeah, but generally, if you're at the top, you're going to go unscathed because, no matter what happens, especially with travel. And,
not in the Jacobins, though. They killed all of the aristocracy. They killed everyone at the top.
They couldn't get on their private jet and fly to Germany. They
tried to run away on horseback.
Right, it didn't work. Yeah, but if they had a private jet and a helicopter, they could have got away. They could have went to a country like that where they already bought most of the country. Right. So our leaders are very well protected compared to any leaders of before us. They literally getting to them which makes the gunshot on Donald Trump even more funny when you think about it. They got to that one guy, didn't they? That was kind of easy.
They could get to.
Wow.
And we're full of hubris. When we were and we think everybody wants to be like us. A lot of people look at this and they say, well, we don't see any connection from your wealth and your power with your values. So we reject your values. And there is a connection between democracy and freedom and technology and success, but they don't see that. And the more that we try to appease them and say to them, we're Americans and we want to help you, that doesn't appeal to them. They interpret that magnanimity as weakness to be exploited rather than kindness to be reciprocated.
That's kind of what I just said.
And they don't like the West. They feel that, well, you didn't earn it. As a society gets weaker and starts to decline, they put more interest in and more, I know this is counterintuitive, but they want to have more allies. So that, say, take Constantinople and the Byzantines. The more they were unable to hold back Mehmet and the Sultan and his announced plan to destroy Constantinople, take it over, the more they said the Genovese are going to come. The Venetians will sail up the Dardanelles and save us. The Florentines have always liked us. Maybe we can unite with Western Christianity, but nobody will allow the greatest city in Christendom to fall. And that never happens. And the Thebans kept saying, well, we revolted. Where are the Spartans? I hear they're marching up they marched up to the Peloponnese when they saw the actual disparity in forces and the nature of Alexander the Great. They just turned around and went home.
Wow.
And so I think in the case of the United States, we keep talking. I mean, it's very important to have allies, but we keep talking about NATO this and NATO that and our allies. But in some ways, it's an admission that the United States is no longer preeminent and will not lead. And what we should be saying is we want all the allies we can, but if we don't have the allies, we still have the power to fulfill our foreign policy agendas. We've got the best military, the best economy in the world, the best tech.
What we want to do is,
but as you start to weaken, you keep talking about coalitions, and they never pan out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get back
super
to this
good
one.
stuff, man. He's awesome, and this is exactly there's so much going on here, and we can kind of look at the players, and I feel like we get distracted by the twerking and the coconut memes, all the
TikTok,
the BS, man, and we get lost in what's happening behind the scenes, but it's really hard to be. Just people are busy. You know what I mean? We got lives to lead. You know,
we like to mock people.
We got shit to do. You know what I mean? Like there's actually no one wants to think about politics and all this deep shit all the time. When after you get off work and
well, not only that, dude. It's. I mean, I don't think I have a solution. I don't know anybody that does. So like, you're literally got this problem, where maybe a few people have a couple good ideas. You can talk to Molebug. He's got a couple out there and. But in all reality, it's kind of almost like this beast that nobody wants to tame because is it even possible?
Well, you saw it with Trump, right? I mean, he tried to tame it. I think the first 4 years a bit.
Back.
Realized goddamn, this is a pretty big beast.
Yeah.
Maybe in my second term I'll be able to do better. Got ousted, but they threw everything but the kitchen sink and the assassination and lawfare, and we'll see what's next because it's not over.
Well, you can still go to jail.
But and I think that was something. Wasn't there? Didn't I see some of the court thing today that actually they're not going to
they're not
delay the sentencing?
They're not going to overthrow it or overturn it based on that immunity thing that came out. They're not going to touch his guilty plea.
Mm-hmm. So he still will be sentenced in September
to something,
whatever it is. Yeah, to something for those 30.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it still went to September. That's interesting. I don't know, but I don't know that they moved the date or anything like that. But they definitely are not going to they're not going to use that immunity clause.
He doesn't get the immunity clause
right,
for that,
right.
for those charges. Yeah. Crazy, man.
Against everything that the left said was going to happen too. The exact opposite, and exactly what I said was going to happen. If you remember, I was talking about the limited immunity or presumptive immunity that he was given on stuff like that. But not if you can prove he's guilty. Then it seemed the ruling was really fair. It was. I mean, it basically said if you're president.
Oh, the Supreme Court ruling. I don't know about his ruling.
No, that whole thing in New York,
Manhattan was
like he'll
garbage.
still. I think he'll still get like they're.
Honestly, it really was nothing he did in his office. So there was some campaign funds involved, I guess, was the one thing. But
well, no, he used campaign. It was mislabeled. That
right.
was what
Mislabeled campaign funds that he used to pay off.
But which up until this case had been a misdemeanor and would have been beyond the statute of limits.
Limitations.
So this guy Bragg decides to somehow turn this into a felony because it's a crime on top of a crime, which escalates. It's some RICO
this
bullshit.
is crazy Frankenstein shit, man.
Yeah, and then he charged him with 37 counts of writing in this thing in different places, whether it was signing a check or signing the stub of the check or putting in the books. They were charged, and once, of course, Trump never wrote any of these entries, which is another interesting. I mean, do you think Trump's making entries into his own his own QuickBooks? Probably not.
Yeah,
it's the biggest bunch of bullshit, and the fact that they all like they got on this like it's so obvious how made up it is, and how like the people that are like, oh, we got him, he's such a criminal. You're like, really? This is, I mean, look at Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. He came out and said, this is ridiculous. What they're charging him with is what people did all the time in this industry. I mean, I guess that was part of it too. There's a Stormy Daniels, but the one he's in New York was what they said he upvalued his properties.
I thought that was an upsell of the property. Anyway, it's dumb, right? So the bank, they have their own people that go out and evaluate properties. They decided on a price. The bank was good with it. He was good with it. Yeah. He paid. Where's the crime? Like who's the victim? There doesn't have to be a victim to have a crime. But yeah, it was bullshit. We all know it. So who actually runs the government, Joe? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what we're getting at with Victor was saying here is it's pretty complicated. It's quite a web, quite a cabal. This is what Tulsi Gabbard thinks about it.
I think it's a talking pangolin.
She had Jesus. Well, they're susceptible to all kinds of diseases.
They are.
I mean, it's a rough one. But this is her talking with Chris Williamson, and it's a pretty good interview. I love Tulsi.
Actually runs the government in your experience?
Just comes right out with it.
Not who you think it is. It's me. And in many cases, especially recently,
that's got a little.
The troubling part about all this is it's not even people who we vote for. When you look at what happened when President Biden had that infamous debate with President Trump, it exposed the reality that many of us have known for a long time, which is that President Biden has not been the guy calling the shots. He has not been the guy making the decisions, nor has it been Kamala Harris, for that matter. Nor will it be if she is elected president. It is this cabal of, the Democrat elite, the woke warmongers, made up of the likes of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and, Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan and, people who are in the military-industrial complex, people who profit from us being in a constant state of war. It is those in the administrative state, in the national security state, who derive more authorities and ability to take away our liberty when we are in a heightened state of crisis or war. It is the...
I mean, man, I voted for Obama first time. I thought, I kind of got sold into the hope and change. And, they all that the left did at that time was complain about the neocons, you know what I mean? How they're such warmongers. Right. And then I thought as soon as Obama came in, he would get us out of the Middle East and all that kind of stuff. Not at all.
Not even close.
Escalated everything.
It's interesting.
The establishment definitely is all about the military-industrial complex, and Obama's.
You think it's about money, right? So, and I'm sure it is, but I think at some level with a lot of these elitists, it's also personal. Like John Bolton, you ever seen him? The ambassador John Bolton, the guy with the.
I don't think it was personal with Obama. I don't think he gave a shit. I think it was about corporatism and money.
I think Hillary Clinton personally wants to F people over a little bit.
I definitely think George W. Bush fucking had a chip on his shoulder from his old daddy, from his daddy's shit. And so I'll give you that one.
And Lindsey Graham hates Iran. Every time there's they'll be like, Lindsey, what'd you think about that? What'd you think about that car wreck right in front of the White House yesterday? He's like, I think we should invade Iran. You're like, wait a minute, dude. He's like, it doesn't. You drop of a hat. Lindsey's ready to go.
You can tell there's definitely people with their chips on their shoulder.
Yeah,
and then some people are just just ready to play ball and play with the corporate, military-industrial complex money game. Right. And that's Obama. That's what I'm saying.
Their friends and billionaires and people in media who all derive their power from being able to have a figurehead that essentially they can control. And the most troubling part about, there's so many things wrong with this, of course, but really at the most fundamental level, you look at, our country is the oldest democracy in the world, but the reality of a truly functioning and thriving democracy that has brought to life the vision that our founders had for us, that we really have a government of, by, and for the people, and that we have the ability and responsibility, for that matter, to ensure that the government we have only exists with the consent of the governed. That becomes very hard to do, to hold people accountable when the person that you voted for is certainly not the one making the decisions. Kamala Harris
wishes she could fucking
and
talk like
the
that.
reason why they've been doing all they can to try to keep Trump off the ballot in over 32 states,
a lot of clarity.
court cases and lawsuits and everything that the media is throwing at him. The reason why they're doing that is because you may agree or disagree with his decisions or his policies or the way that he talks about things.
Not too nice, right?
But
she still has the Cruella de Vil gray streak. Like, I'll still bomb
he
your
is
ass.
not beholden to those same
I took I
might be smart
establishment interests
I'll do a backflip.
that so many of these establishment politicians are. And so, he's not going in and saying, oh gosh, well, I got to do what this person says, or I got to do what that person says. I think oftentimes even his own staff doesn't know what decision he's going to make or what position he'll put forward. And that is, to me, that's the clear choice. You have a choice between those who believe that government knows better for us than we do, that their power is more important than our freedom, that their power in many cases derives from being in a constant state of war that undermines our national security, versus Trump, who has the ability to and frankly the backbone to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to go down that road, or we're going to take a different path, or we shouldn't be in unnecessary counterproductive regime change wars. We should focus on investing in our country and try to work towards a future of peace and freedom and prosperity.
If that's correct.
I think a president with a clear vision, and then the checks and balances of the Senate and the Congress to keep him from being a king, I think that's more important than what, I think people on the left want this bunch of people making decisions at the same time, which honestly, even in business, don't work great. Like these teams and shit, like the best companies I ever worked for had a pretty good CEO who was succinct and had a vision of what he wanted to do with the country, and he drove it to that, and his vision was right. So obviously if you have
you have think tanks and stuff, and people bring options to you, right? That's usually what a president has. He has a team here, a team here. Sure. They all say, okay, sir, Mr. President, this is a problem. We have 3 different solutions for you. We could do this, this, or this. You know what I mean? And this is what we thought out. And you're the guy that picks A, B, or C.
Right.
But you have to have somebody that's authoritatively and thoughtfully can pick from A, B, and C.
But I think even more importantly, has an idea of what he wants to do already. I don't think I think a lot of times your leaders will lie to you, or you're I don't think Trump. He got a lot of bullshit from some of his advisors.
Yeah, they have their own agendas and shit,
absolutely.
too,
I think you got to have and I think a clear, without going mad, and that's what the Senate and the judiciary, everything else is for, is to keep the president from being a king. But I still think that you're going to get more done when you have a clear vision of how you're going to do. Like with Trump, I think it was economics.
Yeah, no, I think there is a happy medium, right? You want to listen to some experts, you know what I mean, when you can.
Sure.
Get as much information as you can, but yet have a clear vision of where you want to go.
Yeah. As opposed
to it is the case that this sort of limp, flaccid Democratic Party has permitted people behind the scenes to come and basically run, puppeteer people that are out front, that's happened very quickly, because it was not that long ago that we had the very guy that you're saying will sanitize this thing in office. So is it going to then take a long time for that to be cleaned up? And also, how do we know that some of this didn't already exist?
It did already exist.
Okay.
It did already exist. Because the party elite itself has been very powerful for a long time. So that hasn't come around very quickly.
probably day one.
And I think one of the problems when President Trump was elected last time was, and he's talked about this himself. He came in and he'd never worked in Washington before, and he had ended up with a bunch of people around him who were a part of this establishment, this Washington establishment.
Do you think he didn't really have that much of a plan? Do you think it was a surprise to him that he got in some ways?
I don't know for sure, but it certainly seemed that way. Yeah, and I mean it was interesting because the conversations that I'm hearing coming from even establishment Republicans right now are very similar to the ones that I heard in 2016 when Trump was elected, which was, okay, like we gotta like balance the scales, in their words, by surrounding Trump with people who hold completely opposing views than he does, to try to mitigate what they view as the quote unquote threat that he poses to not the country.
Who is it that's saying that we need to surround him?
Oh, I mean, it's basically like the neocon warmongers, even within the Republican Party. So
it's very telling. None of them were at the convention this year.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see any.
No
we
Lindsey Graham.
We didn't see George Bush. We didn't see Karl Rove. We didn't see Paul Ryan. We didn't see
Mitch
McConnell. We didn't see John Boehner. We didn't see name all the important Republicans, the establishment Republicans from the last 10, 20 years.
I think the only one you see much of is you got Huckabee, but it's Gingrich. Gingrich is still, he's like even more Trump now than he was ever.
Gingrich is, I think
No, I think 100%, because he definitely like has like an urgency in the way he talks about how the world's going, and he thinks, and you can tell when you hear someone speak.
I think he's been with the establishment, but I think he genuinely cares about America in this country. I mean, I used to hate the guy, like,
because he was,
you're a Democrat, you fucking loathe
Gingrich,
him. But because he's so sharp, you know what I mean, and just cutting, and
has that weird
you just
hair.
want to kill him. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, he's the guy on the left. He's like your.
But man, it's incredible. It really is incredible that we had that convention and none of them were there. I mean, Michael Steele was crying in the bathroom to himself, I think, and that was pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, McCarthy was the only one there.
Yeah.
And he didn't get to speak, and I think
because he's actually still active. Right?
Yeah. He's out.
I mean, but he's still.
Is he still
around?
Is he still,
you know what I mean? I don't think he's still.
No. I don't even know if he's still a House of Representatives. I thought he definitely said he wasn't going to run again, but I don't know if he like completely bowed out. He's probably still in until the end of the year, I would guess. But yeah, there was that's another interesting thing. Not to get way off topic, but how many of the Republicans like left office and made their majority like dwindle? What was that all about? Do you remember there was like 3 or 4 of them that all like didn't even wait to the end of their terms and they dropped out, and then like the votes got closer and closer and closer, and you're wondering like, what did you guys do? Who called you up on the phone and was like, hey, you got 2 choices. You can either vote against it or you can just leave right now.
I think it was when Trump finally took over the party, they were just like, I'm out.
No, there was something happened. I'm telling you, like, you listen to the guy from, what's his name? He's from Tennessee. He's my favorite congressman out there, Tim Burchett. And he's the one who's talking about, well, you got these guys and going to the bar and they end up with this girl and they're naked together. And next thing you know, there's some pictures taken. You ever heard this? I'll bring out a clip of it. He's a sitting congressman. He's from like Knoxville up in Tennessee, that area up there. And he's 100% just lays out why people, he's like, you want to know why people that are Republicans sometimes vote really weird on some things and you don't understand it? And he's like, this is why. He's like, there's honeypots all over the place. Most of the people in D.C. and condemned. He's obviously a very religious, church-going, happily married man who hasn't had this happen to him. Otherwise, I'm sure we'd see pictures. But yeah, he spelled it out a couple months ago. It was just like, this is what's going on. That's why.
Right, so you're saying there's dirt on all these people?
All of them. Dude, once you get into this level and you start feeling good about yourself and you're like, man, I'm the bomb. I finally made it.
Right. But what really pushed him out was that Trump took the party over.
Well, yeah, that's what pushed him out. But the reason they went against him.
They are establishment. And they were trying to, and they realized that there was no room for them.
They don't have a place. They get booed.
Party anymore.
Yeah, they're not even safe, dude. They might not be. Mitch McConnell might not be safe.
Oh yeah, well, Mitch McConnell's not. He's time to go anyway.
Yeah, he might get pushed.
He was on Biden's level.
He was checking out
of senility. Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
And what do they see as the position he holds that they're trying to counterbalance?
That he and he's been pretty vocal about this. Like he's like, no, we're not going to wage more stupid wars.
Yeah.
And we're going to put America first, in his words, and we will achieve that by peace through strength.
It's like telling a Plant City farmer that we're not going to have the strawberry festival.
They would be shocked by how many people do.
It's all my money in the
and they won't
festival.
say, I want war, or I like to see more people dead. Of course, they won't use those words, but there are politicians who are beholden to the big defense contractors who are making billions and trillions of dollars. And they are their political donors and their supporters.
They don't have to do what they want. Maybe they
and
won't
their
give
friends.
you money anymore, right?
It's a great interview.
I want to watch the rest of that later on because
we got one more little clip about where she talks about Kamala for about a couple minutes.
Yeah, let's hear what she thinks about, because her and Kamala had the big beef.
Yeah.
During the
that was quite a
she
show.
Actually knocked Kamala out, and
that's quite a showdown.
That's when they all pulled her. That's when Obama got and said, "Listen, Kamala, you need to drop out right now before we have any votes." So no one will see how bad you
before
actually
you
did
actually
it.
try to talk again.
We got to install you when Biden dies. Like this seems.
We got to save you.
They did. I mean, dude, they literally they did, and they made her do nothing.
We got to put you on ice to shut up.
Even as vice president, she didn't do shit because they were like, "We don't want you in any." Like for some reason, the Dems think she's not tied to Biden's policies, but I mean, I don't know how more tied you can be the vice president to a president's policies. Like,
I mean,
she
pretend that she was never the border czar
on him or something. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing's made up. Yeah, it's bullshit, dude. But it's amazing how
she called herself the Biden Harris plan. Shit. Remember for a while they were calling it Harris Biden.
Yeah, he was screwing it up.
And they were kind of like,
the president's here.
Harris,
I mean, the vice president.
So
what if she? See, the thing is, like, maybe she's not that dumb. Maybe she was running the shit the whole time. I mean, I doubt it. Because she's one of the best actresses.
Either
ever.
of them running anything.
I think she's on medication.
They're complete figureheads.
I really do. I think she takes gummies every day, dude. She acts like
I think she's the ultimate wine mom, but she's not a mom.
Yeah, but she whines a lot.
Yeah, no, she likes her cocktails. She likes to get silly and twerk.
I think she likes a couple. I think she probably likes a Xanner here or there.
Sure,
she probably popping a Xanner, and she definitely would not put down a blunt.
Yeah, she's a party girl, man.
And I think she's gummies though because she's worried about her.
She has good times, man. Like you see her, out and about in the clubs with Big Willie style.
She's shaking it, kind of
back in the day. Like you think that guy wanted to party? You wanted a good time girl, man.
She's got rhythm. She definitely looks like
honestly, Joe. I mean, I know you're not into, but she's an attractive woman, man.
No, sir.
I'm just saying, like, in the political spectrum, okay, when
sure,
there's a very, I mean, we're talking.
Well, AOC's the best looking.
Right, yeah, like, this is the fucking Miss America pageant here.
Although
actually,
I'm a Nancy Mace guy now.
Okay, yeah, there's a few. Definitely the Republicans have, I think, the hotter chicks, man, for sure. For some reason, is it like in the real world? Like
Bobert's pretty cute.
The young, hot hippie kind of chicks are liberals, right? You know what I mean? Like, but when they get to, I guess when they've destroyed their body for years or whatever, when they finally get into office, they're hideous. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And especially when they get older, they turn into like man-looking man women. You know what I mean?
No, because the cute hippie girls actually meet some guys with some money, and then they have kids and they become Republicans. The ugly, fat, goth and hippie girls that don't ever meet anybody, they become representatives for the Democratic Party, and they're angry about all of it.
Yeah, and then they become this angry, like, kind of...
just angry.
Just
men didn't like me.
Looking, you know what I mean?
I'm going to make you pay.
Big glasses, like terrible haircuts.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so busy. I got a staff of like 300, and I've never written a bill.
They always look kind of like greasy and sweaty a little bit.
And you're like, dude, you've got a staff, and you have never written a bill.
And their glasses are definitely like red or blue or something like that. There's definitely some obnoxious
there's
color.
something going on, dude.
So this is what Tulsi ripped her one back in that 2020 primary.
Yeah, literally.
And nothing's new now. Here's what she thinks about her. How's it today?
Think of Kamala. You bodied her only a couple of years ago. What do you think of her?
The same thing that I thought of her back then is she and this is what I warned people against in 2019 is she is incapable and unfit to be president and commander in chief. She would be very dangerous in that position, not only because she will be easily manipulated and controlled by those unelected powers that be that we talked about, but also would immediately feel like she needs to exert and show strength.
Oh, yeah.
And that would come at an incredibly high cost to our men and women, my brothers and sisters in uniform, to our country, and quite frankly, to the world.
Kill a lot of people,
especially given the situation that we are facing today,
I mean,
where we're on the brink of war with Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, just to name a few. Oh, and also, by the way, we are closer to the brink of nuclear war now than ever before, certainly in our lifetimes. So in any one of these examples, it takes one spark for any one of these situations to quite literally blow up. She has demonstrated through her time as vice president, through her time as a U.S. Senator, through her time as the Attorney General of California, District Attorney of San Francisco, and every opportunity, every position that she held where she had the opportunity to put the interests of the people she was supposed to be serving first, she put her own political interests first. And clearly does not believe in the Constitution and fundamental freedoms. So she's not alone in this, obviously. But she is now, not officially, but will be very soon, the Democratic nominee for president.
Now officially.
And we as voters should not allow the political food fight that's going to go on to get in the way of actually knowing the facts
Tulsi makes her money
of her record and her failed record.
I love you, girl.
We'll see you later. Hopefully you can do something again, and we'll bring you up on.
Please. God.
You'll be a regular.
You were my dream for VP pick. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but maybe you'll get a cabinet spot.
You would have been buying a lot of presidential stamps, wouldn't you? Be like, let me get the Tulsi season 4. What do you got? You got any more Tulsi stamps there? I got all 4 series. I need.
Oh my God! If there could only be a coin.
Oh gee, like the what's her name?
Susan B. I think.
No. I was thinking more of the Indian chick. Who was it? The one with
Sacagawea?
Sacagawea.
Yeah, there you go. Kamala.
No, that's...
All right, so we'll round this show out. I mean, obviously, we've kind of taken a little bit of a ride here today with just state of our government, who's running the show,
the madness there, within.
All the threats that are against us now as a nation, what we're going to do with it, who we're going to elect to actually face these incredible conflicts that were in front of us. All these, the globe is in a serious state of turmoil right now. The whole global,
it's a clusterfuck.
The economy's changed. America's stepping back from this globalization thing. Everything is in flux. We need a strong leader. Who's it going to be?
You know what the world reminds me of? You've gone fishing. You're quite a fisherman. Mm-hmm. You ever get that big snarl where no matter where you pull, it's all connected? That's what the world reminds me of.
Especially when my dad would try to make me use the free line.
Oh, yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that baitcaster.
The baitcaster where you have to run your thumb across it.
Mm-hmm. But this right now, dude, that's what the Earth is. It's a big snarl. And if you pull this wrong one, it gets sucked in over here and something bad happens over here. And if you pull this one, so basically it's going to take a really great person to unravel all of this without destroying it.
Yeah, no. And we've got to take some, there has to be some strength involved here, because I feel like we're getting bent over the rail by Israel at this point right now. And especially going into this, they're definitely, look, if Iran bombs them, and obviously there's been some missiles fired, they're going to come back threefold. I think Netanyahu, we know he's been under a lot of pressure to get rid of him. He's on his last leg there. He's got to make, he's not going out without a fight either.
No.
That guy is a motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Him and his brothers are like ex-military. They're as deep as they get. They're Mossad. He is definitely a dude, man. I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
So he's going to push it to the limit.
I'm not going to say anything. He might come kill me.
I mean, it's terrifying. You know what I mean? But
I don't think Mossad's got anything on me yet.
But yeah, they could be anywhere at any time. I feel like
But like, were you at a party in 1987? I'd be
they
like,
make our CIA look like fucking brownie scouts, man. You know, for sure. But so with all that happening, so here we have Kamala, right? And our friend Tim Dillon,
as we call him, the Oracle.
Yeah, he really is, and it's time to. He's the big gay Oracle. It's time to bring some levity to the situation and realize how ridiculous the United States kind of is, the situation that we're in is, what's really going on about why people even like Kamala. Because before, just a few weeks ago, she was.
Hated.
Basically, the worst VP ever, had the worst numbers and polls. Biden wasn't gonna step down because I think he thought that there's no way Kamala can win. I gotta stay.
That's what he said. Yeah.
She's so terrible that I might die, but I have to stay in here.
Lower approval ratings than Dick Cheney did.
And how a couple weeks can change, right? The media and everything has just swung this around. And now she's the party girl. She's the head, biche.
She's brat.
She's brat. She's biche. She's all the things, man, that they say.
She's dancing. She's got on slacks.
Yeah, and it's really, do you have to answer anything about your policies or what you're gonna do? It's just keep having a good time and
just keep, dance through it.
Just keep laughing. You know what I mean?
Just keep laughing and dancing.
Keep on laughing.
Let them know the party's here.
Yeah, and here Tim Dillon kind of makes that point here.
God, do we need a release? It is a release from the laws, the rules, anything. It is a release from gravity. It does not matter. It is a vibe. Andrew Sullivan called it a vibocracy. Now,
it's good.
It doesn't matter that Kamala Harris was against fracking. Now she's down with it. Now she doesn't want single-payer health care anymore. Now she wants border security. It doesn't matter that she did it because she's not for...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you see that Andrew Schultz's? Did you see his take on it? Did you see what he called her? He had the best line of all.
No.
He called her War Hawk Tui.
War Hawk Tui? Oh, that Hawk Tui chick.
But he called her War Hawk Tui. That was classic, dude. Whoever wrote that one deserves a gold star.
The things she's for... It's not a flip-flop. Everyone's like, the Republicans are like, by the way, if anyone is, and they all are, I know that everyone listens. You have to listen to me here because I'm going to tell you why you're losing very soon. I'm going to tell you why you're losing. But what we have to do right now is break down the vibocracy, as Andrew Sullivan said, because Kamala Harris is doing what Trump did in 2016 that they're not doing now, and I guess it is hard to do now. She's throwing a party. And I said this months ago. I said the person who throws the party is going to win. And I guess it is a little, it's harder to throw a party after somebody just shot at your head.
Who has the best?
Because usually that would stop a party. Somebody shoots you and it grazes your ear, the party's kind of over. It's hard to bounce back from that and throw a party. But Kamala
Instagram
is throwing a party. She doesn't believe in anything.
If we put her in there, we're going to get it.
She's flip-flop. It's not flip-flop. She doesn't believe. It wasn't that. It isn't this. She wasn't for it before she was against. It's nothing. It has no foundation in reality. None of it matters. The Democrats are living in a post-reality world of parties. People are twerking. People are singing. There's yas queening. It has nothing to do with anything that it's not tangible. You can't touch it. It's the sphere. Do you see? The people come in. They herd them in. Come in, fatty. Sit in your seat and look. It's pretty colors. It's things that are flying by a mile a minute. Kamala Harris is instantly related. Yes, play this. Play this.
This is so disgusting.
That's right.
This is. Let's just take this in.
That's right.
She was just nominated for president of the United States.
This is the campaign. These are the policies
that she did.
These are the This is what you're going to get
to our country.
These are the policies.
As our presidential candidate.
This is what you're voting. You're voting for this.
He's kind of
They're not even trying. And by the way, this is brilliant. They're not even trying to put out. Yeah, it's there. You go. Let's get rid of that.
But pause on that real quick. Did you know the people that my brother was telling me about?
By the way,
it's like. Now, interesting enough, I guess their thought was we'll do it before Kamala and have her introduce Kamala, and this will be a big thing. But truly, like they had to actually like cover up some of the stages when the lady left. So she did it before Kamala, this little song and dance. And then when she introduced Kamala, like all the people, I think this was in Atlanta, they all left because they were like, "Oh, the rock star's leaving." Like you gotta do your speech and give them the rock star later, don't you, dude? You gotta bring that on an end to make everybody at least sit there for the cameras.
Yeah, that's the finale.
Yeah, but she didn't do that. She would rather be
They
introduced.
have the
like
perfect candidate: half Indian, half black, attractive woman. Every billionaire on earth, this is, if you were going to build a robot in a lab
she is
that would be secretly controlled by billionaires, it is Kamala Harris.
She's no Angelina Jolie, bro. But
it doesn't help that J.D. Vance is bombing with his ferret face or whatever. He has this strange kind of, he has his beady eyes. No one likes tech people, even right-wing ones. No one likes tech people. Stop with the nerds. The Republicans thought that they were going to build a bridge to the nerds with this guy. Stop with the nerds. People don't like nerds, no matter what ideological stance they have. He's not, because on one side you've got this guy, and on the other side you have, it's people are twerking, people are on Molly, the glow sticks are out. It's fun. Kamala is the candidate. She would be built if she was.
It is like he has this like really deep story, right? You know, his mom on heroin, all this stuff, and come back, and it's just like it's all painful and like this real life story, and it's like twerking over here. Like, okay, you know, I'll take door number 2. You know what I mean?
People don't want to. They don't want to be depressed.
It's like, oh God, I know so many people. My Aunt Deb's all fucked up like that. You know, people been on heroin. His cousin Bobby, I mean, he's a crackhead. You know, like Jesus, man. Like, I don't want to think about that.
Especially after COVID, where we've been stressed out for like 3 years straight. Everybody just wants to.
Let's go twerk, man.
You know what's that line about Israel? If Israel didn't exist, we would have to invent her. If Kamala Harris did not exist, billionaires would have to invent her. Half Indian, half black, attractive woman, childless. She's a career bitch. Or should I say bish, B-I-S-H. Kamala Harris would have to be invented if she did not already exist.
Somebody spelled it wrong once. And
she is
caught on.
hollow in the best way.
Yeah,
meaning certain people, when they are hollow, there is something deeply uneasy about them because some of them would want to not be hollow. There is some humanity in them that is trying to escape. Kamala is so at home with her hollowness. She has been eaten by ambition. It is stage 4. It has gone to the brain. It is that laughter. It is that kind of, she is perfectly comfortable with being used as a tool by other people to say anything and do anything. She is kind of the perfect candidate for America at the current stage it is. Yeah. That's why everyone was like, oh, when Rogan said, I could see her winning. It wasn't an endorsement of her. We just, when you look back and you analyze it and you look at it.
Check some boxes.
Who's bet? Now, yes, she can't speak. She does it, you know, it's like, you know, the robots, when the robot, you know, the early generations of the robots, when you roll them out,
who needs a president that can
they make
speak?
mistakes.
We don't need that anymore.
They're not that impressive. But from far away, if you choose the angle at which they are observed, you're like, oh my God, that's fucking cool. Those little Boston Dynamics dogs that just keep walking about. But then they walk into the wall a few times, you go, oh, this isn't that great. However, when you first see the Boston Dynamics robot dog, you go, whoa, this is wild. Now listen, Kamala is the most relatable person immediately. She's a person who is not qualified for her job. That is, most Americans don't feel qualified for their jobs and aren't. Most Americans spend 4 years in college getting fed gobbledygook and horse shit, and then they have to go on an interview or a series of interviews and say, I'm going to make the marketing at this company so good. And they don't know what they're doing, because no one really does. In the beginning, when I first started to become a comedian, I was not qualified for my job, but I'd have to go out and tell people I'm a comedian. They go, yeah, okay. You know, it's when you start a podcast and no one's listening. You go, I've got a podcast. They go, really?
I know about that.
It's everybody in this country. It's act as if. Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
It's maybe the main American thing is to be full of shit until the rest of your surroundings conform to the level of bullshit that you have been spewing for years.
Part, man.
A lot of it.
Kamala
you
is perfectly at home and perfectly
at one point
calm
you make
and at peace.
Sometime in your career,
especially out of college, never having
full
a job
of shit,
except for me.
And every time you take that new role when you really don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's scary.
She understands, and Americans understand too. They go, we kind of like this woman because she is not bothered by the fact that she is an empty vessel. She just wants to be the president, bitch. And wouldn't you? Wouldn't you want to be the president? It's every person that has no business doing what they're doing, which is such a large swath of this country. No business doing what they're doing. They have a soft spot for Kamala Harris. Even I look at Kamala, and she will wreck the country and the world. They will wreck the people. And by the way, not even her. The people that are behind her will destroy Earth.
Yep. LinkedIn.
And I don't know if anyone will be able to stop them from destroying Earth no matter who's in.
True.
But they will accelerate the process of destroying Earth. And people will dance into the, they will dance into the fire pits. And it's just, but maybe that is better. I don't know.
I like his little dance.
No one has heard anything from her. No one knows anything. Everything she says is crazy. She was not allowed to speak as the vice president. She was given strict orders to not speak. She was given strict orders to not say anything. Everything she said was crazy. You act like you fell out of a coconut tree. Like, she tries on different accents. She has different sayings. She makes up family members that don't exist. You know, my aunt used to say that the future is just the past.
We're going way over. I mean,
just play anything she said. Play anything. Is this her new accent?
New accent.
Yeah.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
You're right,
Vancouver.
You got it.
We will.
Yeah, some fake ass shit in there.
I guess
look at her. She's like,
her facial expression.
So there's that great moment right after she does that. It was great. Play that again. Watch her right after she delivers. She's in disbelief.
It's awkward too.
She's in full disbelief.
She makes me really awkward.
It's one of those people that laugh
Watch
really
her after
loud,
she delivers that 2024. She is in full. Because by the way, in the middle of the night, they knocked on her door. It was like Game of Thrones. They knocked on her door. They're like, Joe's out, and she's like, oh, what do you mean? They go, he's out, and you're in. And it was Obama and Pelosi. Cy Hirsch just wrote the article, and they're like, and if you don't gain traction, you're out. So follow me. And she had to follow these people by candlelight. They led her down a long corridor, a long hall, and she's being led, and they all have sleeping caps on. It's the Middle Ages. And she's going down a long hall, and she goes into a room.
With the little
so she has no idea how this even happened. But she's handling it well. She smiles, and she's kind of goofy and silly, and she doesn't know. She's like a teacher.
Imagine Trump.
She's like a teacher who's in front of the class, and she's like, oh, I'm in front of I was just in school, not even a couple of months ago, but now I'm in front of the class, and now it's my classroom, and these are my students. Watch her face after 2024, because she's taking it all in.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will.
Yeah, I mean, she's like, I cannot believe they are allowing this. I cannot believe, but
she definitely does.
Believe it, because she's winning.
It's surreal to be where
and
she's at,
here's why the Republicans are losing right now.
Like, just have the balls to try.
Surreal to be where I'm at for Christ. Imagine being her. Like,
here's
American people.
Let's talk for a minute about something that no one cares about: shadow banning. Shadow banning is probably real. In fact, I know it's real. The tech companies can turn you on and turn you off, and they don't have to tell you why they have turned you on or turned you off. Sometimes they give you a very vague explanation. But most of the time, certain things can be hidden, and usually they are videos with some controversy or a couple of keywords people don't like. Now, as someone who's a creator, God, I hate that word, but if you're a creator, and you put stuff out into the ether on the internet. Some of it does well, some of it doesn't do well.
Joe Biden,
Here's what you cannot talk about. Shadow banning. You know why? Nobody cares that you are being shadow banned.
Yeah.
You cannot prove it.
Same thing. You can't
And
complain
it
about
annoys
And they don't think you have a
people
real
to
job
continually
anyway,
listen
like-
to you complain.
I'm being shadow banned.
Most people who are complaining about this are doing decently well. Some of them aren't. It doesn't matter. You cannot complain about being shadow banned. I've seen people destroy their careers.
So wrap it up.
Yeah, man. We can't complain about shadow banning.
We can't. We don't want to get shadow banned if we play too much of this. But let's give it up to let's give a little clap to the Oracle because he really is the best delivery in the business.
We love you, man. I think we're
concerned,
gonna. I'd like to feature him quite often on the show.
Yeah,
man,
we
honestly,
should do a segment just
because I think he is the dude. He's the comedian with the voice for me.
We call it Chilling with Dillon. We'll have.
He's politically plugged in, and like you heard him say that about like who's really running it behind. He really does understand.
Yeah, you said he did.
And he did an interview with Curtis Yarvin, Mencius Moldbug, that has all the neo-reactionary ideas about the cathedral and who's really running the scene behind it and how there's really, it's a mono party with two heads.
Yeah, he says a lot,
and so he understands all that
while
stuff.
joking.
Yeah.
And acting like he's not sure that it's real and he won't call it out. So he's like, he's one of the best tiptoers. And then to do it with comedy on top of it is amazing, dude. Like, he really is good at like saying a lot of shit. And if you're plugged in like he is, you get it all. You're like, oh, I see what you're saying. Like, he knows the right buzzwords to say that that are kind of like a whistle out there to be like, oh,
he's interesting. I mean, because he's from so he's from Long Island.
Yeah.
And then now he's a California guy, gay guy. So, you'd think he would be a leftist, you know what I mean? He's in entertainment, circles. But, he's stepping out from that. And he sticks his neck out on a lot. He just has a really interesting perspective from where he comes at it.
And he's done some funny shit. Early on, he did a video where he dressed up like Jeffrey Epstein's temple. You ever seen this? Oh, this is the best. He's walking around like L.A. or wherever I think he was in L.A. And he was looking for a new home. And he was dressed up like that, that building that was on Epstein Island, and he's like, "You got to watch it. If you ever get, we'll have to do a clip of that." But,
okay.
Yeah, you got to see
it out
this.
one of
It's
these.
freaking hilarious, dude.
One of these days.
But do we want to put a? I guess we got to say, please subscribe. Right, that's one thing we got to do.
Yeah, we definitely need. People
we need subscribers, dude.
Subscribers.
Is it gonna cost you anything? Come on, man.
Yeah, no, just pony up a click, man.
We'll never say anything too bad that you'll regret it.
I know that it really takes a lot for you to move that little index finger.
Does. But
over to
press it
to
for
the right
us if you watch this, man, and just hit subscribe and you don't even gotta like comment if you want to. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Or
we've had a couple comments.
What's
Mostly
the other
people
thing?
trying to get us to use their services to grow our channel.
Have you ever turned notifications on? I've never turned a notification on. Everybody says that. I think. Please click subscribe.
Yeah, I have a couple notifications turned on.
Really? Okay.
I'm really into two-way Mark Halpern's thing, and I have my notifications on.
Is that on YouTube as well?
Yeah, it's on YouTube and their platform. You got to get on their platform if you want to participate in the thing, but you can watch it.
Yeah, I've never turned on a notification. I've never rung the bell.
Yeah. So you can ring the bell. I mean, I don't even care if you ring the bell. That's fine. Don't ring the bell.
Yeah, just subscribe.
And a like would be cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
just get us over like 100. So
we got throw a little thumbs up on there. Not a big deal.
We got mothers that are watching this shit. Let them be proud of us.
Yeah. I mean, we're just trying to have a good time here. We want to bring you guys a good time.
Yeah.
We even though from the pit of despair, as we peer into the abyss, we really know who we are, right? And our reflection looks back at us and we say, death may come for me one day, but not today. And we laugh. You know what I mean? And laughing at death, I think it's kind of what Tim Dillon does every day. You know what I mean? I think he kind of came back from the depths of despair, and now he sees things in a different light.
Well, I got one message for everybody out there, especially the English, and that's when the criminals around you are not afraid of the police, and they're not afraid of the court system, and they're not afraid of anything, you kind of need to make them afraid of their victims, because they're never going to stop. And the only person left to be afraid of is their victim. So if you have a bully and he's not afraid of committing crimes and doing anything to you because the police are a bunch of pussies, then maybe you need to make your bully afraid of you.
There you go, man.
I don't condone violence of any sort.
Bullies beware, especially from a guy from Dover with a flat cap on. So.
Goddamn right.
So we'll end it there. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you. Like and subscribe. See you next time.
Good night, America.